We're back with a discussion on parents who are gay. Now, obviously, this can be quite devastating for a family if they've been living one life and then one of the partners in the relationship decides or understands or reveals or fesses up that they are in fact gay. There's the component with the relationship that has to be dealt with, but what if you have kids in the mix? Then what do you do? How do you handle that? Because obviously the kids are going to find out at some point in time. It is because of a book that I read called Left in His Closet by Dr. Mary Cromie that we are having this discussion. I want to get right back into it because Roxanne, Mary said before the break, it would be ideal in the perfect world if the parents could sit down with the kids and explain the situation together. In many situations, including your own, that's just not possible because your ex hadn't even come out to you or admitted it to himself, perhaps, or to the world. So when that perfect ideal scenario is not available, what do you suggest?
I suggest that when it's obvious, and my husband was obviously gay, I suggest that you feel your children out and wait for the time that you know you can say it, and it's going to be different with each one. So
what was the reaction, for example, when you told your oldest, yes, Daddy has friends who are of the same sex? Were there a lot of questions that you had to answer then?
No, my oldest, being the oldest, she was more concerned about me, and right away it was, oh my God, Mom, that must have been so hard on you.
And at 12, she probably didn't grasp even how difficult it was on you.
No.
She just reacted with compassion for her mom.
Yes, she did. Now, my youngest son, my youngest and my only boy, it was very difficult for him. I had put him in a school and I had requested that he have a male teacher because of my situation, and I had talked to the counselor about it. And I didn't think then this would get around. And one day he came home, he's only about 8 years old then, and he came running in the kitchen and said, Mom, I have to ask you something. And I said, what? What's the matter? And he threw his knapsack back down and he said, Is Dad? And then he just said, never mind. And I said, no, tell me. And he said, never mind. And he just wasn't emotionally equipped. But what had happened was the counselor had asked him to talk to another child whose mother was lesbian.
Oh man, that's a lot to put on an 8-year-old.
Yes.
See, I know there are folks that are sitting out there watching who are going to say, why would you even put that on an 8-year-old? Why even tell? And I'm not second guessing your decision. I'm just voicing what I know some concerns are out there. Why do you say that even to an 8-year-old? Does someone that age need to know? What would you say? Do they need to know at a young age, or do we wait? Or is there ever a good time?
I don't think there's ever a good time to tell them. It appears from what I've seen is the younger they are and the less identified they are with their own sexuality, it's much easier.
Really?
So telling a 5-year-old is much easier than telling a 13-year-old who is going through puberty. Because they have questions about their own sexuality
at that time,
at that particular time. The other thing is, if you wait, the longer you wait, the more it becomes about deception.
Right.
You know, and the more it becomes about, not only didn't my parent who is gay tell me, but also my parent who isn't gay was deceiving me as well.
I'm interested, Sam, because your daughters knew early, or your daughter and son knew early on. Was it a topic of conversation after that?
After that, no.
No, it's just fact of life.
They have not. Yeah, they don't discuss it with me at all. They seem uncomfortable with it when they discuss it with me, and that very rarely happens.
And would you agree that it was the deceit that would be more harmful than the actual admission?
I would agree. The longer it goes on, the more it's going to cause problems. And I would also agree, by the way, that early puberty is probably about the worst. Mm-hmm. Early childhood is much better if you can explain it in age-appropriate ways.
Yeah, we're going to have to go over that age-appropriate, just how much you have to say, because I guess in this day and age, people think, oh, I have to tell everything. And it's like, you don't really have to tell them everything, do you? I mean, they'll figure it out as they get older and they have more lessons.
Answer what they ask.
Exactly. Don't put more in there. I know, Sam, you were the past president of Straight Spouse Network, so you've probably had a lot of different people give you their experiences. Again, is there a textbook for this?
There isn't. Almost, it really depends on the child. It depends on the situation, and there is none. Some children react very well. Others basically become troublemakers sometimes.
I mean, I can imagine that it would be. I mean, divorce is devastating enough. I asked this question, and I know there are characters in this book. I keep mentioning this book, Left in His Closet, and it is a work of fiction, but obviously Mary's done a lot of research. When we've been talking about your kids who were younger, what about adult children or older children who all of a sudden are confronted with the information that a parent is gay? I mean, is it any easier for adults, or is it equally difficult?
It is equally difficult for them, but it again depends on how long it's been since the parent came out, and also on how the deceptive part of that. So they seem to be more in tune with the deception than they are in tune with the reality of their father is gay.
25 or 30 years thinking, hey, my dad is, the quintessential macho man. And then all of a sudden, your father or your mother says, well, no, not that he's not, but that he has a different sexual orientation.
Right. And then what does that
25
say?
is going to be that much easier to accept
Right.
it.
And then what does that say about all these other people around him who perhaps knew, and now I have been living this life believing that my father or my mother is a particular way, and everybody else knew except me.
Oh, see, now you just raised another topic that we have to talk about. These commercial breaks get in my way, but I promise you when we come back, we're going to talk about that. What if people around your family suspected something, or they do know something for a fact? Should they tell, or should they talk to your friends and family about it? We're going to talk about that when we come back. So stay with us. A lot more that we have to discuss here about kids and gay parents. Because that goes back to